Hello, this is Echelon Re, a short series covering how COVID-19 is changing business in Sri Lanka. In this edition, we discuss the impacts of COVID on the knowledge and tech industries and ask if there are as many opportunities as there are challenges. Joining me today is Ruwindhu Peiris. Ruwindhu is a managing director at US-based management consultancy Stax's Colombo office. Stax Colombo consults both for its global clients and also with Sri Lankan companies. Hi Ruwindhu, thank you for joining Rethink.
Great to be here, my pleasure.
What has been the impact of COVID on the consulting industry?
I think it's been interesting for us. And what's really happened is I think as with everything, there was that immediate shock effect, right? So the deer to the headlights, the first week or two, everyone was kind of not aware of what's happening, and that had its own kind of implications. But I think compared to most industries, it's probably the one that has in fact got more attention and an increased demand, because in times of uncertainty is when people are looking for the most amount of help to be able to kind of make sense of what's happening around them and give them clarity.
You have been passionate about positioning Sri Lanka's tech and knowledge industry to attract global capital and talent. Is COVID posing new challenges to this?
So this is something that as a whole industry, I think, all of the leaders kind of came together and just to give a quick backdrop, I think, unfortunately, it's not as well known. Sri Lanka actually as an export sector, the knowledge and innovation sector, 2019, we estimated about $1.8 billion of contribution to the country in terms of foreign exchange being brought in. And what's significant more so about that is that about 95% of that is net retained earnings. So as an industry, I think really the view that we've taken is this concept of drift the curve. And what that really means is think about race car drivers compared to mere mortals who are normal drivers. Whenever you're approaching a curve, a bend on the road, your first reaction is to press on the brakes because you want to kind of make sure you're taking the bend as carefully and easily as possible, right? That's the first reaction. Race car drivers actually do the reverse. They drift. They, in fact, accelerate when they approach a curve. They put the pedal to the metal and they create enough momentum and speed through the curve so that actually on the outcome, when you come out of the curve, you're really well equipped with the momentum to be able to take advantage and then speed ahead. We as an industry really feel now is the most opportune moment for us to be able to double down and really kind of obviously go to the first part, right? So how do we respond effectively? How do we provide security for our team members? How do we kind of rebound on some of the immediate shocks that our companies are going to have? So there's a lot of that focus. But there's also a very concerted effort in terms of reimagining the realities that are going to come back. We're blessed and fortunate enough that we've been having weekly calls with government officials who have also seen the value of this. And every Friday we're having meetings where we're kind of going through and saying, hey, what reforms, what new opportunities can we really present so that Sri Lanka as a country is able to really present this island of ingenuity more effectively to really take advantage of some of these new normals that are coming ahead.
As cliche as this may sound, Sri Lanka needs big ideas, right? COVID's fallout is not the sort of challenge we can address with incremental thinking. How is the knowledge and innovation industry you represent approaching this?
This is just going to fast forward a lot of the things that were already in the works. And then what are those things, right? Globally, economy was shifting from the West to Asia. That was in the works. And then I think it was predicted that that'll happen by about 2040, 2050, I think is kind of where different economies had kind of predicted that the big shift would happen. I would argue that this is just going to bring it forward by about 10, 15 years. It's just going to fast forward a lot of that stuff. What is Sri Lanka's relevance in this? We've been talking a lot about that, but really what the opportunities that I've been having to have regarding Sri Lanka in this island of ingenuity, talking in London, talking in US, going to different, certain events and being able to present who we are. What has resonated consistently is this concept of Sri Lanka as a digital gateway to Asia. How do you take advantage of some of these large, thriving, middle income growing economies, but create a bit of a soft landing place, right? Because for the Western companies to be able to come in and the new, think of the Silicon Valley companies that have great ideas and are very relevant, they are going to be forced to be relevant and take advantage of the emerging economies in Asia. Now, how do you make that happen? They have to contextualize, they have to localize, they have to do some adjustments to their products and services to give meaning to that. Now, imagine trying to go do this cold directly in a Dhaka or a Chennai. A very daunting thought. However, you come in and you set it up in Sri Lanka and then be able to kind of do a fail fast, fail cheap experiments, which mimic a lot of the realities of these other economies that have a lot more legway and potential. But you get to do that, and that's what I mean by soft landing, right? Being able to come in and do that in kind of a Western-like field with the same kind of potential localization needs and abilities to kind of be relevant is something that has really taken root. And then in the last 2-3 years, we've seen a lot of those examples of companies coming and starting to do that, and where they have, they gain lot of traction. I think that's a big advantage, big thing that as a country we're trying to kind of really get people excited about, and saying, how do we present ourselves as the platform? I think there's some real opportunities, I think, for the rest of the companies as well, right? Outside of this industry, to really partner in concert with the knowledge and innovation sector of Sri Lanka, because we've proven that we're doing these disruptive technologies for the rest of the world. But some of our own local giants have not necessarily taken advantage of that thinking in their own industries to be disruptive and take advantage of the emerging opportunities in Asia.
So, COVID's impact will be lighter on companies that were willing to disrupt themselves in the past, knowing full well what they were enjoying is not going to last forever. Tech companies that solved problems by deploying technology were already successful with this approach. Now, everyone who wants to thrive must master this. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your thoughts, Ruwindhu.
Perfect, not at all. Always a pleasure.
Echelon Rethink, powered by ACCA Sri Lanka. Is your organization an ACCA-approved employer? Apply now and make it easy to recruit the best finance professionals in the country.